This is the next big pot.
Judge Emily scores a contest 112, 115. Judge Paul Thomas 112, 115. Judge Donald Trella 113, 115. The winner, Judge Anthony WBO Super Featherweight Champion of the world. From Cambridge, in Scotland, Ricky Bones. A dream comes true for Ricky Bones. A massive upset, a huge shot in the arm.
I laid out the blueprint. Yes, they gave him the decision. They gave him the fight. He beat me, but the blueprint is right there. Just look at it. I took it out of the vault and I handed it over to Canelo Alvarez.
To be honest, Harrison's the biggest bomb inside boxing. Your reaction to David Price, I think, not important. I'll fight David Price any day of the week. You see, you former from Liverpool. It's personal between me and you. I'm going to do you some serious, big stiff in you. Okay, all right. Thanks lots.
No, brilliant, like I say, for the centre itself, those community centre. Amir Khan gets the big fight with Pacquiao and the world champions, the lads that are coming through. It'll be a fantastic. I'd equate this to the Kronk in America way back in the time.
You know what? Fuck Joe Gallagher.
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 I got him in the cage right now. Not the cage.
The plan is to have Algieri knock Pacquiao out.
Yes, but I still got him in the cage. He listens to me very well. I'm gonna let him listen.
Round 10?
Round 10 or 11.
Now we have one other thing to do, and that's to fight Thomas Hearns. And I'm planning on breaking every bone in his body.
But what works is they're going to go and chase Leo Santa Cruz. I told them, and I told them on Wednesday, you're not going to get Santa Cruz. Like I told them, you're not going to get Martinez.
Now, coming to you live, the next big pod.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Next Big Pod, episode 78. We're probably not going to get through everything. We're just going to start off with the matchroom circus that was in town again. Every fucking clown was there. You had Shannon Briggs, Bellew, Hay, the full circus. Si, you was in attendance, mate. Do you want to give us a quick rundown of what you thought of it? You're on mute if you're there.
I bet
well, that's a fucking great start, isn't it? Ainsley, do you want to go?
What did you say? I weren't listening. I was.
Just give us a quick rundown of the card. What you thought?
I don't know where to start. Well, it's all right, but it weren't pay-per-view card, was it?
No, well, we know that anyway, so don't get bogged down by going, oh, it wasn't pay-per-view. It's just boring,
good fight. Then at it again with the fucking Chisora cards and just his bullshit after. Molina's shite. Gallagher's shite. Gallagher's really shite. That's the fucking takeaway from it. Gallagher is really shite. And Conception's shite as well.
Well, do you want to start with the good fights then? Burton, Buglione, and White Chisora, and then we'll get to the other shit later on, because there is a lot of shit to get through.
Start with White Chisora. Fuck knows how White got that. I thought it's pretty easy to score. Don't get how so many people seem to have White winning. White.
It was close. It was close. I know you like turning robbery out for everything, but that was a close fight. I can see why people give it to White. Personally, I didn't, but I can see why.
Chisora landed the cleaner punches in the majority of the rounds and hurt White in the majority of the rounds. It's not like White hurt Chisora a couple of times and Chisora had a few rounds off. That's about it. The rounds that Chisora won were fucking much more clear. Yeah,
but then even the round Chisora won, you can make a case for White purely because his work rate was better. He was chucking more out, whether it was effective or not. It's not everyone scores it the same way we do, but
but you can't score rounds just because people are throwing punches and not landing with them. That's not how they're supposed to be scored. Because it's
No,
not
I
just
know.
one and never lose a fight.
Some people do, don't they? Some people do score like that. They'll just score for aggression, even if it's not effective.
Yeah, but I know, but that's wrong. That's what I'm saying. So like, all these people had it. It is wrong. Like, fucking, and that last round where it was a 10-8, ref fucked up for White afterwards to say, oh well, Chisora will run 3 rounds. I should have had a knockdown. Is absolutely fucking ironic. Just like it's the complete opposite. But,
well, we know he's an idiot.
How were the Sky Boys scoring it, and what did they say?
Oh, it was a big mixed bag with the Sky lot.
I think everyone but Jamie Moore had
There's a couple of
Chisora winning.
Yeah, David Hayes' scorecard, man.
He had like 4 or 5 even rounds come the end of it.
Well, what after 4 rounds, he had it 3 even and 1 to Chisora.
Sorry, what was the reaction like in the arena when they announced White as the winner?
They booed. It was quite. I think it was round about. So when they start putting the big screens and the big images up on the of AJ sitting in his dressing room, like to get the panto booing going. Round about round 8, the crowd. So where they do the Anthony Joshua, when that bollock starts, they actually started doing Derek Chisora, and the crowd was just right behind Chisora from well, it's probably from about halfway. When the decision got called out, it was just people were just booing, and it was just all you could hear everywhere was, "Oh, that's bollocks," and yeah, and I'm not even talking like sitting like with a load of piss heads and stuff like that. People who were sitting and you could see him scoring it and stuff like that. And I had it Del Boy by 2 as well, and I think Del definitely won 6 rounds clear, so I don't know how he could lose it, to be honest with you.
I reckon that's fair. But just on the Sky commentary, there's obviously now a fucking clear agenda to push towards this White rematch, because the cheerleading from Sky was fucking ridiculous. I know it's been bad before, but I reckon last night was one of the worst I've ever heard. Saturday was the worst I've ever heard.
In favour of White?
Oh my, it was unbelievable. Like, White was stood there. I can't remember, like the 4th round it might have been. And I think Chisora hurt him, and it's like when he stepped, because when he kept getting hurt, he'd step back with his mouth wide open. He's there literally blowing out of his arse, and Adam Smith's like, oh, Chisora's in trouble here. He looks like he's really tired. And I'm like, what the fuck are you on about? It was just embarrassing.
Well, Adam Smith's commentary, I don't like it at all. He doesn't call the fight as he sees it. He's sort of got an agenda in his mind, and that's where he's going with it. Even if the fight's going that way or not, he's going to stick to what he thinks is happening or what he wants to happen. Even if the fight's not playing out the way he's calling it at all. But yeah, what did you think of the fight?
I thought it was White Chisora. I thought it was a good scrap. I don't think it was this sort of mad fight of the year candidate that people were going on about. I think the reason I don't have it that highly rated is because the 2 guys were absolutely spent, and it was using up lots of quick bursts of energy, then taking a minute and a half off. And both of them were guilty of doing that. I thought Chisora won. I thought Chisora wasn't. Often in these fights, you either score for the power puncher or the boxer. I thought Chisora was the better boxer throughout a lot of the fight, and he landed the harder shots. I'm not quite sure how people could see it particularly wide to White or even really close, but it was a good fight. It was much better than I thought it was going to be. I expected 12 rounds of hugging, and we ended up getting 2 guys who were really going at it. I think it was because they were so evenly matched. I think Chisora is the more skilled fighter. I think White's slightly better energy and fitness levels sort of managed to kind of pull him back into certain rounds. I think Del was guilty of taking a couple of rounds off, but having said that, I think I had it 115, 113. I thought that Chisora should have won.
Do you want to see a rematch? Because personally, I think someone should tap Del Boy on the shoulder and say, look, retire. You've gone to the well too many times. You're not going to repeat a performance like that again. You're going to lose next time convincingly, I feel. So call it a day. Go out like that. It's a good way to go.
No, it depends what fight he gets. Because if you look at it, right, so all we know about Derek Chisora is he doesn't have a particularly good right hand, and he can't really live with the big elite fighters. I'm not talking elites. I'm not just talking Klitschko's. I'm talking Pulev level of fighter. He's not quite there. Would you pick Chisora to beat David Price?
Yes.
So that means there's still fights there for him. Would you pick him to beat White in a rematch?
Yeah, but no. It depends. Del Boy's only going to turn up if he's really motivated because he doesn't like someone. He's not going to just turn up to fight David Price because he doesn't dislike him. The whole thing with Del Boy is he's only motivated for certain fights. If he turns up against David Price the way he did against Pulev, David Price will spark him out. Simple as that.
Hold on. He doesn't need to hate them. He battered Robert.
When was the last time? Yeah, but that's prime Chisora, isn't it?
And he battered Vitali. He didn't hate Vitali. He backed him about.
No, I know, but since then, the only fucker he's put any effort against is David Hay. We can call that a sham rivalry if you want, because that's probably what it was. And this one, other than all the fights since then, he's been an absolute gash. He just put no effort in at all.
I sort of, do you know what, before Saturday night, I could kind of agree with you because I thought his performance in the second Fury fight was pretty abysmal. And I thought that Pulev, he just seemed to just get it all wrong. And I couldn't quite work out what his route to win that fight was or what his plan was. But I can't say that I think he should hang it up after a performance like that where his fitness was, like I said, was what cost him, nothing else. I thought he boxed quite well. And there are enough Dillian Whyte caliber fighters that Chisora can fight. And you know Sky are going to want to see that fight again. It's just whether they can get around the board and everything else, which I'm sure they'll be able to do. It's a natural fight for the Joshua Klitschko undercard for me.
I don't want to see it. I want to see Del retire. I said, he's been to the well too many times, and he's going to come up empty one day.
Well, so what? He should get the rematch, though. You can't say it's bullshit. That fuck that. White's getting away with blue murder if that just gets ignored and move on.
Well, if Del Boy wants the fight, he'll take the fight. He probably will take it because there's money in it. Whether he's going to train that hard again and come up with that much ambition fails to be seen. I personally don't think he will. Simple. That's just my opinion. He might do. He might come and spark him out next time for all we know. But I can't see him turning up in that shape again, putting in that much effort again. I just don't think he will. Yeah, but he'll turn up like he did against Pulev and just jew the range, just go to 12 and put in shit effort.
I've just seen this tweeted that Tom Boxbets just tweeted that if in ahead of a rematch that Dillian Whyte's 4-11 favourite. So I think a lot of people expect Whyte to win more conclusively next time.
But he didn't even win this time.
No,
he didn't win this one for most people. But next time, I think he would win convincingly. I don't think Chisora would put the effort in needed to go that deep and push that hard again. I just don't think he'd do it. Alex, what did you think of it?
Great fight, absolutely great fight. I mean, I don't think that it lives up to this fight of the year standards and all this nonsense that people are throwing about, simply because Del, as he always does, he's always had poor stamina, to be fair. I mean, apart from maybe a couple of fights, but he's always shown up with really poor stamina, and that's again due to not living the lifestyle and having so many fights where he looks like abysmal. As you've just said, the past few years he's been abysmal, but then he might just turn up and fucking go mental, and he's great. But yeah, because of those rounds that he took off, I think that it sort of tainted the fight a little bit. But other than that, I thought it was great. I think that Whyte was proven to be, I don't know, just not basic, but he couldn't even handle this real intensive sort of pressure fighter that was going at him. Very crude almost. I mean, Chisora says he likes to model himself on Joe Frazier and things like that. He loves Joe Frazier. And it's obviously a very, very crude form of that. And White just had so many troubles handling it. I mean, and he was so fucking shit himself. He was gassing all over the place. He couldn't fucking throw a punch. I mean, that stupid picture that's going about of him where he looks like literally like a donkey is amazing. And it just it sums up the fight in some instances, I guess, that it turned into this just street brawl. And I think that although we didn't predict it would be a great fight, we predicted that it would be a fight between like two fucking pub bouncers, and it sort of degenerated into that, I think. And while it's very entertaining, I don't think it's fight of the year candidate material.
Well, Brian's going to come on later on and rant about it, because he doesn't like fights like that when there's no skill involved, so he'll have some harsh opinions for both of them, I imagine.
They won't.
So let's move on. No, let's move on to everyone's favourite trainer taking an L early on in the night. Si, do you want to start with Buglione Burton? I know you're quite pally with Burton, aren't you?
Do you know, I've not... how did Marcus Morrison get on? Because the doors opened...
He won.
What happened?
Points.
Won on points. Because the doors opened at 5 o'clock. And in fairness, I wasn't expecting anybody to be going in. There was a few thousand people trying to get in. And they made everybody walk single file past one fucking sniffer dog to get in. It was an absolute fucking joke. So how many people actually seen that fight? I don't know. And then I know Conor Benn blasted Blackhouse out and around. So, yeah, Burton Buglione. For many years, Joe Gallagher's not liked me because I tweeted something that Steve Wood said about him, and he pulled me in Scotland about it. But the gloves have come off today for the first time ever because I don't know what the fuck he was doing in the corner with Burton. I don't know what he was telling him. I don't know what his instructions were. I don't know how he was seeing the fight. Somebody told me it was 6 rounds up. Burton was on some of the on the scorecards when it was stopped. Fucking clueless. I seen him when he was coming back into the corner, and Burton was pissing the fight when he was just throwing his jab. Massive. Fucking Buglione showed some bollocks and the cuts and everything else, but Burton, then in round 9, he just started fighting with him, and fucking Gallagher's got a cockpit for me. He's the John Terry of boxing, and he jumps in front of every fucking photograph to gate crash everything. And now it needs to be lying at this door. I don't blame him for Charlo Linares earlier on in the year because I think that was an absolute elite fighter there. But fucking, I don't want to take away from Buglione because Buglione deserves a lot of credit. Fucking, and he deserved the fight because he got his tactics right, but. No, I'm sitting there fucking chewing and like scratching my head what Burton was being told in the corner by Joe.
Well, all the fucking other idiots was urging him on as well. Like the Smiths were at ringside, like beckoning him on to go and take the fight on. And I was like, "What the fuck are you doing? He's winning. Just see the round out, and he's won." Ainsley pointed this out, and I thought this was bob on actually, because although Gallagher did have a fighter coming out again later on, he bolted as soon as that announcement was that he'd lost. He bolted back off, didn't he? Didn't stay with him at all.
I hate that. But you've seen the fucking pictures of Burton after, looked in bits, and that cunt had just swung straight off.
Well, that's Tesco for you, Alex. I'm sure you was pleased with this, weren't you?
Well, to be fair, I made a tweet a long time ago when this fight was announced and before it was cancelled. I thought that Burton was actually going to smash Buglione, and I proclaimed that and defended that very intensely. So I looked like a complete twat. And a few people managed to dig that tweet out and, embarrass me, so fair play. I took an L for that. But ultimately, I relish and celebrate any L that Joe Gallagher takes, so it's all good.
The fight, Ian, I know that Burton actually got offered a little bit more money to have the fight 2 weeks earlier on the show when Coyle pulled out against Hibbert, and I spoke to Olfie about it, and I asked him why he didn't take it, and it was because of the judges, because of if it went to points. So in Olfie's, he's expecting it to go to points, which is why I just don't understand the tactics that changed in the second half of the fight. So he turned the fight down for a bit more money in London to have it in Manchester. If it went to the judge, because obviously Olfie's not a big ticket seller, at all. I think he shifted 200 tickets because he was on an AJ card, whereas Buglione does shift a few hundred anyway. So the team and the people around him they've talked about it going to points because that's why they've turned the fight down in London, or they said no to Eddie when Eddie tried offering a bit more money, and then it just makes the tactics, the performance all the more bizarre. There was bits of it I thought Burton was brilliant. I thought he was really good, but on the same hand, I thought Buglione was brilliant as well in patches. But yeah, it was the corner's tactics for me. Like with Joe, really is.
But this has happened it's happened so many times though this year where you're watching certain fights and you're looking at the corner. With Sky, you don't really get to hear the corner work that much. You just get to see what's put into practice, and I don't understand why. There's a brilliant Vine someone's done actually of the knockout where Burton obviously staggers him, chases after him across the ring with his hands by his side. So as much as we can criticise Joe for sort of putting in too much emphasis that he needs to get the stoppage when he obviously didn't, I think it was just a slightly poor move from Burton. I think he was the opposite of cautious. Barreled across the ring, thinking he had Buglione out of there, and walked onto a big shot.
I just had a tweet. Apparently, after 10 rounds, Gallagher told Burton to stop him.
Did he really?
No, I weren't listening when it was on, but apparently so. The only thing I heard Gallagher say was after about 8 rounds, and him saying, "Go and finish the job." That's literally all I heard Gallagher say.
Perhaps he might have meant because he'd hit Buglione with a lot of flush shots, maybe just go out and, well, stop him, I guess. Because you'd expect someone who's been hit with that many clean headshots to actually like wilt a bit, but there was no fucking give in Buglione at all, was there?
You know, it's quite funny.
He took everything.
You look at Buglione and you look at Chisora, like they've took quite a bit of stick in the past, haven't they, off the British public. It was kind of like their crowning night a little bit, weren't it? I know Chisora got beat, but you look at some of the, you know, the respect or the adulation or whatever you want to call it, just the praise that's come their way. It's, I suppose that's one thing I'll take out of it there, because I quite like Frank. I think he's limited, but you know, it's nice to see him getting a bit of credit, and same for Chisora, the way, you know, he stood in the ring at the end of the fight as well, and he's getting the fans chanting his name and what have you.
I like Buglione. He's never in a dull fight, and he has iron chin. Like against Chudinov, I've never seen anyone take that much of a shellacking and not get pulled out by a corner before. Especially with the Collinses, because they'll pull anyone out, won't they? As soon as they got a cut, and it's like, all right, you're coming out. But Buglione was going to let him die. But maybe that's because he's not Irish. Who knows? Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about one of the guys. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, anyway, but he were on his feet though. They weren't like ironed out, was it?
And Chudinov ain't exactly a big puncher.
He hasn't got a bad chin. He's just got a terrible defence. That's the difference. Yeah. I don't think he's chinny. I just think his head doesn't move.
He added head movement this fight. He's never done it before, but his head was moving. I was shocked by that. It started to go in the later rounds, but to start with, there was definite head movement there. He must have improved a bit under Don Sharps. Anyway, let's move on to one of Gallagher's other fucking idiots, Scott Quigg. What did you make of him at 126?
Shit.
Absolute roaster, shit, bollocks.
Killer.
Yeah, it was terrible, that, wasn't it?
Been all right knockout, but he flung about 2,000 punches to land that one punch that knocked him out.
Who was you sat with, Si? Was you sat with any of Quigg's fans? Was you sat with Matt Bowes or anything?
No, I was sat with, because I wasn't drinking. Well, I had a couple, but I wasn't drinking, so I went in and watched all the shows. So I went and kind of sat on my own for the first couple till Dirty Dave turned back up, and then I went and sat with him. But the Quigg fight, I thought it was a reckless performance. It wasn't what I was used to seeing from Quigg. It was like he was determined to make a statement and determined to hurt his opponent, and I'm not sure it really suited him. And I don't know how good his chin is. I just thought it was very reckless. It just didn't look like Quigg in there at all. He got the highlight finish with the KO and stuff like that. But I was going to ask how it come across on TV and what people were saying, because I was watching it and I just thought, I don't know why he's taking so many punches at this stage of where he's trying to do. And I thought it was a bizarre performance.
I was writing a tweet at the exact time he ironed him out, saying Quigg's got no pop at all at 126, and then he fucking sparked him out. I was like, oh, I delete that. Got away with that one.
Look, the guy got up though. He sort of sat there and got up, and it was. He didn't iron him.
He didn't know what day it was when he got up there.
No, but it wasn't.
I thought it was a good. I don't think it was the best performance from Quigg, but I think he did come across a little bit desperate. Like he was throwing too many punches. You know, he was trying to be too active at times. I think he was in with a guy who was not very good, and that's the problem. It's not like he was in with a durable journeyman type. He wasn't. He just. You watch Scott Quigg fight now, and you just wonder where he can go. Obviously, the only fights that you can see him having success in are the Warrington fight, which seems to have disappeared, and bringing fighters up. I don't see him. You look at the champions at this weight. I don't think he gets near any of them.
No, I was going to say, I know Ainsley and Si aren't big fans of Selby, but Selby would beat the piss out of Quigg, absolutely embarrass him. I don't even think Quigg would beat Warrington, because Warrington just does the basics very well, and Quigg doesn't even do that. I wouldn't even pick Quigg to beat Warrington. I think it's a good fight, but I wouldn't pick Quigg to win.
That's a fight that obviously it's not going to happen now, but that's a fight that would make sense regardless. When they're trying to drag McDonnell up as well, like that's not going to happen now. But that again was a fight that you could say, okay, Quigg can probably win that, and it's a good name rather than a good fight on his record. But there's no one at 126, and I think again, when people talk about Gallagher, going back to him again. Gallagher got the tactics wrong for Frampton so badly, and Quigg's the kind of fighter who would take that loss really bad. I don't think he's bounced back particularly. I know he had the injury, which has got to knock your confidence, and the only positive for him is he got a highlight reel knockout. And the two fights which were a bit duddy on that card, that and Callum Smith's, at least we got big KOs at the end of them.
But moving on to Callum Smith then, because I thought it was a terrible performance by him. I don't know what is the point if they keep wheeling him out to fight people that this far below him. And you could sort of see by his demeanour and his attitude, he didn't really want to be there. He didn't feel like he should be fighting people like Blackledge. It went on longer than he probably wanted it to. Maybe got a bit embarrassed. I just thought it was disappointing from him, really, considering now he's going to be fighting to Gale or Jack. I don't see how he wins that, judging from this, but then he might be fighting down to level for all we know. Alex, what did you make of it?
Well,
go
on. Basically, I think that it's just another one of Hearns' methods of, throwing enough shit at a wall and hope some of it sticks. And, with your fight, it actually works. He actually fought absolute shit for the majority of his career, and then he got a world title shot and he actually did well, and it proved.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that later on, unless you've already talked about it. But
no.
But with Callum Smith again, it's just is this piece of shit gonna actually stick against world level opposition? And I don't think you can't even predict how well he'll do at world level, because he's fought absolutely nobody that will come close to the talent and ability of DeGale or Manu Jack. It's ridiculous. And this Blacklist fight, I didn't even see it. I wasn't bothered about seeing it because it was going to be a farce. And the fact that it took him, was it 10 rounds?
Yeah.
Yeah, the knockout, great knockout, but I'm not going to nominate it for knockout of the year because it's against an opponent that's so subpar to where he should be that it's nothing. You see loads of lads knocking out knocking out subpar opposition like that all the time, and it's ridiculous.
Do you know the problem I have with Callum Smith, right? So if you fast forward back to April, he'd just beaten Mohammadi in a round. Before that, he absolutely blitzed Rocky Fielding in a round. If there's nothing in between, his big fight should have been next. You probably would never be more confident. He looked a very good fighter. He looked certainly above English-British level. Whether he was any more than that, we just simply wouldn't know. Since then, he's fought Reynoso in an 8-rounder. He's fought Norbert Nemisapati, which was just an awful fight. Again.
Was that the midget on the belly undercard? Because he was lighting him up for a bit.
Yeah.
No, Reynoso was the midget on the belly undercard. Nemisapati was the one at the O2. And then he's just fought Luke Blackledge, a guy who was iced by Rocky Fielding, who Smith knocked out in a round a year earlier. It's the weirdest kind of... They're not like Paul Smith style keep busy fights because we think Callum Smith could lose a good one of these. It's just bizarre. He was matched really well, I thought, to a point. Sezloka, Rabras, Fielding, Mohammadi. And he's now going to go into this potentially massive fight, if they pull it off, with a year of dud performances and dud opponents. It's a weird one. And considering that Hearn was building Callum Smith as the second coming, saying he was probably one of the best prospects he had, and I still think he's a very good fighter, but I just think he's going to go into this completely unprepared. And is he going to give himself the best account? I don't really know. I don't think he beats DeGale. No. And obviously, there's nothing to say that we think he'd beat Jack either. It's a shame because he's a good. I like watching Smith, but the last 3 have not been good.
I thought he was terrible. It was just so predictable. And he can't. I hate his fighting down to his level. No, he should have just fucking got him out of there, and he shouldn't have been there after 3 rounds at the very most. Blackledge weren't even doing anything. It weren't like he was. It was just like being really negative to not get knocked out because he was there in front of him most of the time.
He was quite negative. He was spoiling. He was holding at every opportunity. He got warned for it.
But he wasn't. You know what I mean? He's negative, and he was still there to be fucking it. And I think Smith's power is completely overestimated. Smith, just everything about him's just completely blown out of all proportion. He's nowhere near as good as he make out. He's probably a decent Euro level fighter, but that's.
We'll soon find out. Like Alex says, perhaps Hearn's going to throw some more shit at a wall and it'll stick. But I don't think he beats DeGale. If it's Jack. I think he's got a better chance against Jack, but I don't think he beats Jack either.
Who do you think would be good as preparation? Obviously we're complaining about it, but I'm going to play a bit of devil's advocate. Who do we think there's in between what the entire shit that he's been fighting so far and to go and that he could fight to help prepare him. You know, do some
In an
actual
ideal world.
matchmaking. Yeah, ideal
Well,
actual matchmaking like a fucking proper promoter does, unlike Eddie Hearn. We should say, oh, Callum Smith should fight this guy, then this guy to prepare him for a world title shot.
I always thought he should have fought Martin Murray in
Yeah.
between this, but I know it's not. But I think that's perfect because you could say to Martin Murray, you win this, you get his WBC mandatory. Martin Murray's been at world level. He's not been disgraced by anyone, by Golovkin, who's obviously a beast. So I think Martin Murray would be perfect. But that would never happen because Murray feels he's beyond that, and Gallagher would never accept it. So.
Yeah, Tesco wouldn't risk it.
But I think, what's his name? Like, Porky Medina or something like that, who's cheap.
Yeah.
What's the point? Like, what is the point? But I'm just looking, and this is not really related to it, but the box rec rankings at super middleweight, they've got Ramirez at number 1, Groves at number 2, DeGale at number 3, Callum Smith at number 4, then all the way down at number 13 is Badu Jack. So Badu Jack is below them 4, is also below both Durrells, Felix Sturm, Abraham, Chavez Jr., Chudanov, Martin Murray, and Reynold Quinlan. So whoever fucking uses box ranking as like a point in the future is a mong. But like even like Lucian Beauty, even though he's banned, just fucking get him over. Like this.
He's not banned. He's fighting.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but he's not fighting until his ban's over, is he not?
I don't know if it was, it'd be a longer ban than 6 months, wouldn't it? Surely.
Nah, because it comes with some bullshit excuse which they let go. But I mean, there's loads of people here they could have gone in for and thought like.
But even like Sakio fucking Beaker or something like that, innit?
I think he's fucked off now, but yeah. But like J. Leon Love, he's not really on much money. Get him over. Honestly, there's fucking plenty.
They're saving him for Rocky, though, isn't there? That massive fight that everyone's been talking about for years that everyone can't wait.
I just put Callum in with Paul Smith because it's going to be a nice confidence boost for Callum because he'll banjo him in a round, and Paul Smith's fought at world level. So what more do you need?
Yeah.
What do you make of this, Ulsai? Do you think he's prepared for this step up in class, or?
So first things first, obviously, because I'm friends with a guy who trains Blackledge. I think he deserves a bit of credit because nobody thought that fight was going. You know, I seen some of the bets people were putting on 1-3 and 1-4 at even money and stuff like that. So I just want to pay a bit of, just say well done to Matt Vienco, well done to Luke there. For me, the Callum Smith is an absolute clusterfuck from Hearn because. The only way I can kind of put it into words, it's a little bit like if you buy tickets to a football match and you buy a Champions League season ticket, which is kind of what they did. They rushed Callum Smith. I feel Eddie Hearn rushed Callum to say he was world level, to say he was the mandatory, to say he was next in line. I always remember him using the word golden with Callum Smith. And what we've been delivered is you're expecting Champions League. You've had Europa League, you've had Carling Cup, and you've had that bollocks under-21 tournament where no one understands. That's what I put the blame 100% at Eddie Hearn's door for Callum Smith because I'll tell you, I was in the arena on the night. I was in the arena when Golovkin box broke. I was at Goodison Park. People they're just not interested in Callum Smith. They've switched off. Even the Mohammedi fight, people just they took it from the Rocky Fielding fight when he was shit hot. He was red hot that night. Everybody wanted a piece of him. Everybody was talking about him headlining arenas, and I know they've got to protect the mandatory slot, but people have switched off. Nobody cares about Callum Smith, and that fight if DeGale comes through and it's DeGale against Callum Smith, that fight has got to be on pay-per-view. It's got to be pay-per-view to satisfy whatever. That's what I've been told. I don't know how they're going to sell that fight because Eddie's killed it. Plain and simple, he's killed it. He's dragged it out too long now, like he did with Kelbrook when he was mandatory and he had about 75 final eliminators and all that bollocks. It's at Eddie Hearn's door 100% the Callum Smith fiasco.
Do you know what this reminds me of? And it's not world level. It reminds me of when they kept Luke Campbell treading water for the Tommy Coyle fight, and there came a stage and it was like, okay, just make the fight happen for him, or just move on. Like people just getting fed up of it, and I think that's what's happened. Like I said, it's a shame because also people lump them all together. Callum Smith is much better than his brothers. I really think that. I think he's Liam. and Stephen are obviously the better ones, and Paul way down in fourth. But I think Callum has the potential to be much better than all of them. And I think whether he wins a world title, I don't know, but he's certainly at a good level. But it's just, do you know what it is as well? There's no guarantee, right? Let's say De Gale wins that fight. De Gale Smith isn't a pay-per-view fight.
No.
There's no guarantee that De Gale will even want to take it. And it's the same for Badou Jack. What does he do then? Send him off to America to fight Badou Jack? Hearns talking as though both fighters are going to clamour to fight Callum Smith, who's been fighting 6 and 8 rounders on undercards recently. I don't see it's an obvious fight. There's other big money fights out there for both of those guys. Why would they rush to fight Callum just because he's a mandatory? But there's always ways to sidestep mandatories.
But it's 2 years since he fought Sledge Locker in an eliminator, and since then the level of opposition has just been embarrassing.
Was Rabrassi after Sedge Locker? It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No, that wasn't a bad fight. But since then, it's gone downhill. I agree with you, Press Pass. I think if De Gale wins and Groves wins his world title fight, I think there's going to be a unification between the pair of them before Callum Smith gets a look in. I think Groves will want to... Do you think Groves will want to cash in while he can?
Because that's a pay-per-view fight. So that's something that can happen in the summer, which obviously Sky want to fill a gap. You know, that's a massive fight. And of course, De Gale will be exempt from faces mandatory. I mean, that's what I mean. The super middleweight, it might be lacking certain names at the minute, but there are guys close, below and above that you can make big fights with. De Gale might want a Golovkin fight, or, you know, there could be anything. Could be any permutation where a mandatory in Callum Smith, who doesn't exactly bring huge money or bring pay-per-view, would have to wait by the side.
Anyway, let's move on to your fellow Midlands guy, Kal Yafai. Do you want to start with this one, Press Pass?
Oh, yeah, wow. Do you know what? I thought there's nothing I could enjoy more watching than that fight on loop. I saw a few people saying it was boring. It wasn't, you know. It was boring because it was so perfect. It was like watching, you know, Floyd in his prime. It was just unbelievable. No, to be fair, I thought Conception was a little bit disappointing. I thought that Cal was completely outboxed him, hurt him to the body, hurt him to the head, just easily scored him. I was expecting Conception after about 6 or 7 rounds to be like, okay, I've lost all of those. I've lost my title already, but I don't want to lose this fight. But he just didn't. He didn't make any adjustments. If anything, I thought he got worse. And yeah, I thought Cal was superb. And a lot of people were backing against him coming into this fight. I was really mixed on it. I was desperate for him to win, but like Angie said earlier, he hadn't had that big fight experience. And yet he still managed to pull it off. I thought he was brilliant. He's not going to be a big ticket seller. He's not going to be a big name. He's in the wrong division for a start for the UK, but he's got one of the most legit wins of any of the Britain's world champions.
I agree, that's fast.
I can't make my mind up whether it was Kal Yafai being exceptional, Conception being really shit. It's probably somewhere in the middle. Where do you think Kal Yafai is going to filter out at the world level? Do you think he can hang with any of the proper guys there or not?
I don't. Well, you don't know, do you?
I
was going to say, I'd like to very quickly from my side of view. Obviously, that division has some absolute monsters in it. You know, Inoue, Gonzalez. Would you rush him into those now? No, but I don't think they should be ducked and avoided. You know, he's just beaten a legit 2-weight world champion. I think that he'll come back, have a defence in Birmingham, and then just see. You know, he might end up being farmed off to Japan or wherever for a fight, but I don't think he should run or duck from any of them. He's not the youngest, you have to remember as well. He's not like he's 25. He needs to get a move on with big fights, and obviously he wants to earn some serious money.
Ainsley, do you want to say something? You was jumping in before press pass then.
No, Yafai was very good on Saturday. Like, there's no taking away from it, regardless of what Conception was like. It was very good. I don't know how good he'll be in terms of with the absolute killers in the division, but that's the same at any division. Like, he's a solid. It looks like he's solid enough to be a world champion. He could dip his toe in at bantamweight and beat some of the guys there. He's not going to be the elite division, but there's no shame in that with the company that he's got. He was very good. In a bit of a boring fight, he still managed to improve. A lot of the stuff he was doing was just very impressive. So I can't really knock it.
it's a strong division as well. So even if he doesn't go after unification straight away, even if he fights just even top 10 people, they're good fights. He's not going to just go on a reign of terror where he fights absolute cabbages, you'd hope.
I'd love to see him fight Estrada.
I don't think Estrada's going to do that. Anyway, Alex, he was pretty scathing. Where you think Kal Yafai fits in? I don't know whether he was trolling or if you genuinely believe that. But did you see the fight?
Saw bits of it. He looked very impressive, I guess. Conception really didn't live up to the mark, unfortunately. I think that maybe we underestimated. Presspass certainly didn't underestimate Kal Yafai, but underestimated him a little bit, overestimated Conception, or maybe Conception just wasn't asked. I mean, the whole weigh-in fiasco seems to suggest that either he had a bad camp or he just came for the money. It's okay. And for Kal at world level, true world level, because this is arguably the most talent stack division. I mean, you've got Inoue, you've got Gonzalez, you've got Quadras, you've got just so many good fighters in this division that will absolutely banjo him. And he's got a lot to do, a lot to prove to really just commit himself at this weight division and commit himself to being a world champion at this weight. There's no point calling yourself a world champion when you're going to be. There's such a gulf between you and the rest of the world champions. And it'll be a fucking shame if he just stays in Birmingham and fights absolute dross for the entirety of his reign until he gets offered, silly money to fight Gonzalez or anyway in a unification.
Yeah, I have to see what he goes for.
So, you got any thoughts on Kal Yafai? What was it like in the arena for you?
Yeah, I was watching. Well, I didn't really watch it all. You need to remind me. Was he on before Quigg or after Quigg? I know I was there.
Before Quigg. So, he's talented, but when you talk about somebody and they just won a world title, and somebody says to you, "He's a really nice lad," they're telling you that there's something missing. That he's either not charismatic or his performances are boring. And I know I made fun of it earlier on, saying Birmingham was a boring city and they're a boring family and it was a boring fight. But there's just something missing with the Yafais for me. I just find them very samey, very boring, very. If I'm going to pick one fight to go and get a hot dog and a pint of beer, it's going to be when the Yafais are on, because there's just something missing for me. They don't do it for me. I find them all very samey. Every fight, every round. They just don't do it for me.
Casual.
I didn't enjoy it either. I thought it was shit. I can appreciate Kal Yafai's pretty talented in that, but it bored me. It was a fight I started tucking into my kebab in. It was the one I was least interested in going into it. Well, I just don't really care about the Yafai, same as you.
This is the interesting debate, because you've got fighters of very high quality, like the Yafai's fight, which, was proper boxing. It's someone technically breaking apart a fighter. But everyone enjoyed White Chisora with two guys that didn't throw a jab and just took their heads down and bombed away. That's the thing. People think they like boxing, but people who don't, most people, and I'm included, just prefer to see a fight. And Kal Yafai, unless he's matched with the big boys, is probably very seldom going to give you a fight. His brother's the same. Gamal fights the same way. Gamal will probably go on and win titles as well, above the one he already has. But he's never going to be, he's never going to be Gatti, is he? He's never going to be a head down Burton Buglione type. It's just, it's always going to be very same. In terms of personality, they are very quiet. The one problem with Birmingham, as shows, is that Frankie Gavin, Sam Eggington, and Callum Gamal have no personality whatsoever between them. They're all very quiet, or just there's just nothing more. Yeah, there's just nothing really to be said about them, which is a shame, really. But that's the way it is. The biggest personality is Macklin, who's obviously not fighting anymore. And
you mean Irish Matthew Macklin?
Well, do you know what? Saturday night was hilarious. Matthew Macklin went from being fucking Irish when Katie Taylor was fighting, and then he was a Brummie when Kal Yafai was fighting. He did the full double act. Have we lost Cal?
I get what you're saying, but Cal lost me before Saturday night. I know, and it's right what you're saying, because everybody's going to give Chisora and White a chance, aren't they? They'll sit there, but Cal lost me before that night, and I think Again, I think I put a little bit of it on Hearn again, just bigging it up too much too early. Let it grow, let it develop a little bit. I remember sitting there watching some Cal performances, and because of Hearn and because you buy into the bullshit that comes out for every fight, it's like, I'm sure there's been some performances where they've been really good boxing performances, but because Eddie says he's now ready for world level, and because you can't just accept it for what a little bit like Josh Warrington. I get some people saying it about Josh. I've sat there and thought, do you know what, that was a decent performance. Then other people are saying, but Eddie's saying he's going to be world class, he's going to do this, he's going to do that, and then you possibly go a little bit overcritical. And I think that's probably what it is with Cal. I was waiting for Saturday night, probably months ago or something like that. Again, I don't know. Probably been a bit harsh on the lad.
No, it's decent enough. You have to see who decides to fight, because they'll probably put him in with some absolute idiots, won't he? Especially in Birmingham, his first one's going to be some fucking complete and utter absolute cabbage. We'll just get
a kind of show in Birmingham, and Sam Eggington's going to be chief support. But all Sky are going to do is talk about Eggington. You'll see Sam Eggington going down to Matchroom Towers, having coffee and biscuits with Barrier, and that'll be all over everywhere. And they'll make out that Cal's a headliner, but it won't be, will it? You know, if Frankie Gavin rematched Sam Eggington, it wouldn't matter if Kal Yafai was in a unification fight. That's the fight, and that's the problem you've got.
You're absolutely right, and that's why I don't imagine Cal. It doesn't really pay for Cal to fight and stay at home. I think it makes sense that he goes on the road and fights in countries where he can, like I said, have bigger fights and bigger money. People in Birmingham, just because he has a world title, it doesn't mean they'll turn out. You know, like I said, the box office for Birmingham is abysmal as it is, and it's the fighters that push all the business. And like you say, Gavin or Eggington in a different fight will be wider received than Cal fighting a voluntary defence, unfortunately, unless Hearn can find a way to really build him. I saw Barry in the dressing room after the fight. He was like saying to Cal, "Oh, you know, this is it now. This is the time to get things going." It's like, you guys have done sod all, really. You know, you've not tried to push him. You've not tried to push him in Birmingham at all. You've only pushed Sam, who I like Sam Eggington a lot, but he's a very limited fighter. You know, the one thing, he doesn't have the skill that Cal does.
The one thing that'll go for Cal and they'll go for Birmingham is if they've not got an obvious headliner, really. So that's what they might use Cal for, because, you know, the undercard lads did a great job selling the show out last time. So if they need somebody just for the reason to get Sky to go there and to put on the posters, because the undercard for Gavin and Eggington, I know it produced a couple of crackers, but the undercard was absolutely dog shit. So the lads did a great job selling tickets and then producing a couple of crackers, and I know there was a couple of local derbies, but you still do need a headline event, because otherwise you end up with what happened at Wembley, where Katie Taylor made a debut and Geffin boxed Hibbert, and the crowd was shit. It was garbage. So you do need a headliner, but then you need the undercard lads to sell it as well.
Yeah, I agree. But I normally hate on everything. I didn't think it was that bad on Saturday. It is just stuck between a rock and a hard place, I think, with the division he's in. But I don't know.
Well done. And the new.
Dead chuff for him. Great for the city, like I said, and it's the ongoing joke in our chat that Birmingham doesn't produce any good fighters. So I'm very, very pleased for him. And Lennox Clark will be the next world champion.
Pop him.
Banter.
Is Carpy still there, or have we lost him?
He's there. Carpy, come out.
He's muted himself because he's worried about his stupid echo.
Well, that's fair enough.
Am I echoing or what?
Yeah, well, you just have to mute yourself when someone's talking, but go on.
All right, do you want to move on to Femi then? You can all knock yourselves out, or press fast and wank himself off with a Femi now.
Let's not split long on this, like.
Let's do this. We've all got to say one good thing about Femi.
And then we'll move on.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Who wants to start?
I'll start. Fucking hell, this is quite hard. Come back to me.
I'll start.
I'll go on inside.
So, I listened to Talk Sports today on the way home, as I normally do, because I don't know why Darren Goff does me fucking head in, but I still listen to him. And him and Saggers absolutely slated it. That's the one good thing for me. They said people are getting bored. Don't be wrong, they said what?
You're cutting outside.
Alright, we're losing you, mate.
Sorry, to hear two absolute casual know-nothings talk about that fight and slate it the way they did and say that the public are being conned. That, you know, I think it was Saggers, I can't remember if it was Saggers or Darren Goff said, they took a fat bloke out the pub. That was
They
how
didn't.
They said on national radio. That was how they described Eric Molina.
Do you know what? It's really pissing me off, right? Because it's not okay. You can slate the fight for whatever you want, but when Molina fought Areola, he went at him, really went at him, hurt him, got caught and knocked out. When he fought Wilder, he really went for it, got beaten up, and it wasn't as close as people say, but he took the fight to him. It's not Joshua's fault that someone like Molina, who I thought when they made the fight, yeah, it's not the best fight in the world, but at least Molina will have a go. Molina threw one punch in the first round and missed it. He didn't throw many more punches in the second or the third. It's not Joshua's fault that when people go in against him, they do fuck all. And that's why I think it's unfair. They're saying that Molina's some fat bloke they dragged up from Mexico or America. I think it's unfair on Joshua. What's he meant to do? And it will only be the same when somebody. I mean, Dillian White, he gave it a go, but not consistently through the rounds. He had a couple of good moments, and it's not Femi's fault that guy Molina just looked straight away like he wanted to get straight to the airport. He was weird on fight week. He was giving him so much respect to Joshua, and he just seemed like dead happy to be there, like he won the lottery. And we just watched two guys in Chisora and White go absolutely fucking mental, throwing every punch going. They should have given them Molina's money. They deserved it. Molina did absolutely nothing, and it just makes Joshua look bad. It makes it look like he's been really badly matched, when I don't think that was a bad matchup.
Yeah, I don't like to agree with you, Press Fast, but I think everyone's made out Molina to be worse than the ass. Molina just fucking swallowed it big time. As soon as it was farcical. You can't, but and I know I had this with you, and I've had it with Caldwell and all sorts this weekend. Oh, it should have been Price. What difference would it have been if it were Price, other than it being a bigger, stiffer idiot?
At least Molina lost in the first round.
At least Molina deserved to be there off the basis of of a decent-ish win. Again, not a good win.
Fuck off, Adamek is not a decent win. Stop with that shit.
Compare it to Price. Compare it to Price's wins. That's what I'm saying. Not saying it was a great win. I'm saying compared to what Price has been fighting, it was better than that.
That night. Price would have been Adamek that night.
But he wouldn't be fighting though. Price wouldn't
beat a fucking egg.
If Price got offered Adamek, he'd have fucking turned it down, and we all know he would have turned it down.
Hold on. On what fucking planet is beating a fucking 42-year-old Adamek who's been past it for fucking years, worthy of getting a world title shot? Absolute fucking shite.
It's not
a planet press pass.
No, but I'm saying you were making.
Hold on. You're sitting there defending it. They're absolute fucking bullshit. There's no way in earth Molina should have been off here in a main event at a pay-per-view where we've got to pay £17. Not a fucking chance. And there's no way you can sit and defend that.
We're talking as a comparison to David Price. You all know that it's not the fight that I said I wanted Joshua to have, but in comparison to David Price coming out and saying that was bullshit, the question is, why do fighters, regardless of whether you think Joshua was good or not, why is it that fighters consistently seem to swallow the minute they get in the ring with him? Molina took
what do you
one
mean
punch
consistently?
Because I'm not very good in the first place.
No, I'm saying Charles Martin, right? Not a good fighter. But why didn't he go at him? I don't get it. I find it very strange. I'm not talking about Josh now. This could be any fighter. When you're in that sort of position, why not just let your hands go? Because you're going to get knocked out anyway. Molina was never going to go 12 rounds. So why did he do absolutely nothing? It's so frustrating. As a fan sitting and watching it, you just want to see the guys just throw a fucking punch. That first round from Molina was worse than Audley against David Hay.
Press pass. Who do you think hits harder between Wilder and Joshua?
Wilder.
So why the fuck did Molina go absolutely mental at Wilder?
I don't know, mate. That's what I'm saying to you. I really don't know.
Question that.
Yeah, but you know what I think
that's the whole point.
You know what I think it is? And I don't want to... I'm sort of being a little bit too positive to AJ for my own liking, but Wilder sort of gives the impression that he's presenting opportunities because he's so wild and throws fucking stupid shots. So I think that if you were stood in front of both of them, you can... So see, not every shot is accurate, not every shot's clean with Wilder. So you can get the impression that you can take that bit more of a risk and he's wide open, but Joshua's a bit more fucking up and down, isn't he? So that opportunity doesn't become apparent as quickly. If you know what I mean. I could just be waffling on a bit.
No,
there,
no. I get what you mean. I think that's the interesting takeaway from me from this fight is that why someone, whether he deserved to be there or not, we all know he didn't for a world title, but Joshua's belt isn't a real world title. We all know that. But why is it that someone like Molina, who would happily trade and go to war with other fighters, who are other good fighters, I quite rate Wilder, other good opponents who hit harder than Joshua, because Wilder is a bigger puncher than Joshua is, and yet he absolutely swallowed it.
Do you want to know why? Because he was given probably 5 weeks call for the fight. He saw it as a massive payday, and he could not be fucking arsed.
He did the same with Wilder, though. Wilder, he got about 4 weeks' notice for Wilder.
Yeah, that was a late one. I mean, there's no obvious answer to it, guys. None of us are going to be able to give an answer. It's an interesting point for me, and that's why when he fights Vlad, which obviously we'll get onto, Vlad's not going to. You wouldn't think he'd do that. It'd be interesting just to see someone throw a fucking punch at the guy. But it shouldn't have been pay-per-view. We're not going to talk about that. But the fight, the main event. Hearns such a jammy twat, He was absolutely saved because no one was really talking about the Joshua fight. People were talking all about Chisora White. And then, after the shambles that fight was of Joshua Molina, he brings Vlad in the ring and you're basically paying £17 to watch a press conference. He's such a jammy twat.
Oh, that's disgusting. I had to turn it off. Honest to God. That was so bad, that fucking pantomime shit.
Is there anyone cheesier than Klitschko on a fucking microphone? Oh man,
Joshua,
it's painful. Yeah, that's going to be the dullest build-up ever. That is, and I don't get. It's going to be painfully boring.
It's the walking billboard versus the fucking walking Borat. It's just fucking awful. Zero personality between the pair of them.
The build-up's going to be too humble, isn't it?
Humble and hungry. They'll do it in a Burger King.
Early predictions for that fight then. Who's going to win? Femi or King Vlad?
Don't all go at once.
Femi.
King Vlad's going to spark out the hype job, put them into the casual hype train, and make them all kill themselves, hopefully.
Do you want to know what I think? Oh, go on. I'll let you answer, then I'll say it.
I'll go say Femi. I don't know how yet, but I think if Femi stops him, then it'll be interesting.
Pops, you there?
Right, sorry, what you saying?
Who's going to win? Early prediction, Vlad or Femi?
I don't know, because it's a hard one to call because you just don't know how far Vladimir's slipped, because there was obviously signs there during the Jennings fight, and obviously Fury made him look fucking silly at times, but it's not going to be that type of fight at all because Joshua's not got the tools to do that. So I don't know. I need to sit down and study it. I would like to know. I would actually prefer if Vlad had a fight before it, but obviously that's not going to happen because it's that 18 months he's been out the ring. I mean, he's 41 years of age. I know he does keep himself in pretty good condition. He's a fit guy. He's always in shape, but you just don't know how far he's slipped. Do you know what I mean?
But there's been more than rumours. It's been said on a few occasions that apparently Vlad are getting it off Usyk big time in the build-up for his training camp for the Fury rematch. And the way I think is after 3 rounds, you'll see what happens. If Joshua hurts Vlad in the first 2 or 3 rounds, Vlad's just going to shell up.
Do you know what, though? It's interesting. I was thinking about, so I want to go to this fight, and I will be going if I get a ticket. But I was thinking I'd much obviously take Fury aside because we all want to watch that fight. I'd rather have seen Joshua Wilder first. Part of me, it's not as prestigious a fight, but part of me would rather have seen Joshua Hay, just because I think they are not more interesting matchups. Not really sure what I'm trying to say, but Klitschko's been out so long. He's had so many injury problems. Last time we saw him in the ring, he got quite easily beaten by Tyson Fury. It's hard to shake off that fight. Before that, he didn't look great against Bryant Jennings. He's going to be 41 by the time he gets in the ring. It's a good fight for him, but I think it's a lot of pressure on Joshua. Klitschko, I don't think Klitschko is the kind of fighter that takes it for one last payday, but it's a massive money fight for Vlad. That's one of the reasons why he's taken that over possible other options that he's got. But yeah, I'm the same as what Pop said. I'd like to have seen Klitschko fight an interim fight before this. Joshua's going to come into this sort of 3-4 fights in a year. Vlad's not fought since November, and there was a bit of a gap between that and the Jennings fight as well. So he's not exactly coming into this not even in his prime, but in terms of conditioning wise or match fitness wise, he's not going to be there. But like I said, he's such a step up. There's a possible chance that Vlad just jabs Joshua's head off all night. That Joshua's too stiff, can't move around it, and gets taken on a wide points decision. That could always happen.
I think Vlad might just be here for the payday, his final retirement final for his kid and his missus.
Well, what do you do when you're 41, mate? And what are the fights out there for him? You could possibly go to America for the Wilder fight, if that's an option, but I can't see Wilder particularly wanting that. Or does he fight Does he fight another European level guy? Does he wait for Fury to come back? This makes total sense. I completely get why Vlad wants to fight. I think Vlad would take it, even if he didn't think he was going to win. They've sparred together. They obviously know each other a little bit.
I don't think he'd take it if he thought he was going to lose, though. I don't think he's like that. I don't think.
Yeah, but there's no. Sorry, but there's no shame in him losing to Joshua after he's lost. I think he was such a knock to him when he got beat by Fury, when he lost to what a lot of people thought of had been a bit of a joke fighter, who ended up being a fucking good fighter. I don't think it'll knock his ego to get beaten by Joshua. It's just how he loses. Like I say, if Joshua puts him out in a round or two, that will be impressive, because as much as Klitschko's been stopped before, that was a long time ago.
This is. I don't want this comment to be taken the wrong way, but I thought, on Saturday, that Joshua a little bit more patient than he was against White, and he didn't just try and fucking run in and take him out, because it nearly come a cropper a bit when he did with White. He left him sitting up a bit too much. So,
but that was different, Angie, because before the build up, White had kind of got under his skin, and he was kind of running high on emotion for that.
Oh yeah,
that's probably. But I get what you're saying, because I've noticed that in his last few fights here, the last 3 or 4 fights, you can notice subtle differences, and he's waiting.
He's doing better.
He's waiting on things, and he's not necessarily just jumping in. He's letting things play out first and then pouncing on them. Do you know what I mean? His timing stuff is quite improved in the last 3 or 4 fights. I've noticed that.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point, though, because I think, like I said, it is the little subtle improvements he's making. He's not as robotic. He's not as stiff. And he is starting to pick his shots a bit more. He was wasted. I think he threw one really errant right hand on Saturday, which missed Molina by about 2 foot. But that was about it. He was a lot more precise with his punches. He's going to need to be precise when he's fighting guys who can move a bit.
Yeah. But it's how patient he will be against Vlad. Because what I mean, I don't know if he's going to get the urge to go for it and come a cropper. I feel he will be patient enough and take a chance.
I think it'll be interesting if Vlad can put him on the back foot, because we haven't seen that at all. No one's done that to him yet. If Vlad can take centre of the ring and keep it at arm's length with that jab pissing it out in his face, be interested to see how he deals with it.
But and I thought,
because we've only seen him come forward and destroy people because they're such a lower level, or they shit it before they get in there.
Yeah, but I mean, against Fury, so he was a bit. I don't know. He sort of got into a bit of a pattern, or he does sometimes in fights. I think it was a bit against Jennings, where he seems to do things in cycles, if you know what I mean. And if he starts doing that and you can pick up on it, you can time him. And if Joshua's able to do that pretty early, then again, you'd assume it's going to be over.
The last thing I'll say on the fight is that Klitschko can't win this fight by landing 50 punches. He can't. If he shows up and does the punch output of anything like he did against Fury, I think, we've talked about this week, Fury won that fight so easily, and I don't think that he ever really had to step out of second gear. He could have possibly stopped him late on, but he sort of chose to step back a bit wary of the power, understandably. But he's got it. Klitschko, we've seen it before in several fights where he's not thrown the right hand. This fight he's got to test Joshua's chin and test it early, because since White landed that little short left hook, no one has. And he can't let himself sit into this one. He's got to just throw his fucking hand, let his hands go.
Right, let's move on to a proper heavyweight title fight that happened early in the morning. Did you all score Parker Ruiz for Parker, or did you score it for Ruiz, any of you?
Parker, of course.
I thought the scoring was fine. You could have had it either way, but I think to have two cards 7-5 and one a draw is He's probably
Parker's
spot on,
fine.
really. He's what you'd want to see. If that was in England, it'd be 2 119 109s, and then you'd have like 114 114s to try and make it look like it weren't a heinous robbery, but it was.
Right, I've got a question for you. Is Parker just not that good, or is he fighting people who are of a similar level to himself?
Both.
The latter one.
And do you think like Takam and Ruiz would give Femi the same sort of problems that they give Parker?
But yeah, and I forgot to mention it earlier. So in some ways, the Parker Ruiz fight was quite similar to Buglione and Burton because it was quite close for a lot of it. But the only thing that didn't happen was Ruiz chinned him at the end. But like Parker has got no poker face. He does not like it when he's under pressure. Like if Ruiz had a bit more output and a little bit more thought to his work, he'd have probably won that fight.
Parker looks to me like he fights scared. He doesn't. As soon as he's put under pressure, he doesn't know what to do. I don't know whether that's because he feels the weight of expectation fighting at home on like a big show for them. Maybe he might doing some good fighting on a top ranked show in the States, like away from the light, so to speak. You can get a bit of just a bit of normality for him because it must be quite horrible for him going there. All the build up, they've never had a heavyweight champion before, all that shit. He might feel the pressure and fights nervous.
Parker's big problem is he has no inside game. Is Parker's big problem. That's why he doesn't like pressure, because when he gets up close, one thing he really struggled with was when fucking Ruiz had him held when they were clinching, he was landing little short shots to the body and the head and sort of like what professional experienced fighters would do. And Parker didn't seem to really know how to handle that. I think if Parker can sit you off a jab, then he'll do all right. But I didn't watch that and think, okay, yeah, he's going to be a real threat. I think that he's been in 2 good competitive fights with 2 decent heavyweights, but I don't think he touches any of the main guys. And I think they have to, which I think they knew that anyway. I think that 6-9 months ago, they were sort of saying how cautious they were going to be with him and they weren't going to rush him into the big fights. But obviously, once a title shot like this comes available, you go for it, especially if you can fight someone like Ruiz, who I thought, scoring-wise, I remember I had it to Parker by a round, but I just thought it was Ruiz gave it away a little bit. Just by not being active enough again. I thought it was a decent fight, competitive. I don't mind watching Parker, but he's still very basic for me. I think there's a lot they need to work on, but they won't get a chance now because obviously his mandatory will be due soon and he's going to have to put himself in some real fights.
Parker's got a better resume than fucking half the heavyweights you've all just fucking listed. Parker's beaten better guys than most of them, and he's done it. Yeah, he might have laboured through it and he might have shown vulnerabilities during it, but that's called being in a competitive fight. Femi hasn't been.
Yeah, but no one's arguing that though. They're saying, does that mean he beats those guys? He's beaten better guys than Joshua. Would you pick Parker to beat Joshua based on what you've seen?
Yeah, I would, because he's beaten better guys. He has easily shown himself to be at a higher level than Joshua at the moment. What is Joshua? Who has Joshua beaten?
Well, he doesn't have the names, does he? But I'm saying, but the way he fights, his style of fighting. I mean, I just don't know. I was kind of going through quite a few names. Obviously, the Huey Fury fight. I don't know if you've seen that. The odds for that one. Huey Fury's favourite to beat Parker, and I think again that's probably because I think Huey Fury does fight well on the inside.
I think that's because he's got the Fury name.
And Joshua was 25 to 1 on to beat Parker, which is amazing, really. But Joshua's favourite to beat all the other heavyweights for the bookies. Yeah. But like I said, I thought Parker was okay. There's a project there, but he still looks very crude. And I think it's similar to the Joshua problem. I think he's got to the world title too quickly. I think he needed more fights, and he'll get found out soon enough.
But I think that he's learned so much in the Callum and the Ruiz fights that it's just going to help him progress and build as an actual fighter. Far better than anything that Family's fighting, far better than anything Hayes fought, or Chisora, or fucking Dillian White, or any of these fucking guys, or Wilder. It's just going to really prepare him.
But has he learned? Because this accusation was thrown at him after the Takam fight, about when he's under pressure and fighting inside. And I have seen from those two fights, there's absolutely no difference. He's not learned anything. He's just doing the same things. But he's getting away with it because he's better than the people he's fighting. He's not made an improvement. He's not made an adjustment. It's just that he was slightly better than Ruiz and he was better than Takam. But, I mean, look, Yui Fury should not be favourite against anyone in the top 15 in the world. At the very minimum. Parker should beat Yui Fury pretty comfortably. Yeah. If he fought Hay, he'd get beat. If he fought Joshua, he'd get beat. If he fought Vlad, he'd probably get beat.
I think Joshua was a nightmare for him. The way Parker sort of retreats back to her ropes and just invited Ruiz in, I think if he does that to Femi would just knock him out pretty quick. And I'm not no Femi fan, but
I agree with
that's
that.
Just the way it'd be.
He would just walk him down and he would just pin him back and he would beat him.
He wouldn't even need to walk him down. He's inviting these people to come into him.
Exactly. I don't think. I honestly don't think Joshua would have a problem dealing with Parker. I know what Alec was saying that Parker has got a better resume and he has, but the styles, the fights, I think fucking he's made for Joshua. He would beat him. And I don't think it would take long, to be honest, with the styles.
But yeah, he has his chin in the air a lot. Especially, when he goes backwards, straight lines, chin completely exposed.
See what you said about it was similar to Burton Buglione. That was bang on because it was the same type of thing. He just walked straight back in straight lines and he was just getting caught time after. And you can see, I wouldn't say he panics, but he kind of like he doesn't freeze, but you can see like he's like with the idea next kind of thing, as if he's struggling to think, and then. As you were saying, you're right. He gets away with guys like obviously like Ruiz and Takam, but I think when he goes up, guys, you're saying guys like Hay, Joshua, Klitschko, they would all beat him. It's just kind of the thing.
He's got a quit in him. That's what it is, and that's what like the difference you could see. So you could see with Burton that there was, is he gonna fall here? He's got a bit of a quit in him, and you could like with Parker, there's always that there. I don't know if it's just that he's not comfortable. He might not have a quit in him. But he doesn't look confident, does he?
I agree with that. He doesn't look comfortable under pressure. I think if you could up the tempo and make him work hard, I think he would quit in his corner or want to quit. I think you're right with that.
But it's not even that. Like, so say in that position where he is, so say Ruiz drops him on the inside, he gets up looking sorry for himself. You can end up getting waved off just because of that. So, especially if you come over here. Fucking hell, imagine Howard Foster, if he fucking slips and then looks a bit sad when he stands up, he'll fucking wave it off.
So what would you do with him then? Would you put him on like a Wilder sort of 3 shit defences? Or would you not necessarily cash him out, but look for a unification with Femi so he can make some money while he's got the belt?
He's not terrible though. He's not gonna lose to like your average. He's not gonna lose to Yui Fury sort of guys.
No, I don't think, like you said, I don't think any of them top 15 lose to Huey Fury. He struggled with fucking what's his face, didn't he? Although he had that massive cut over his eye.
But I mean, like, who would have picked to beat Parker? There's very few. So I mean, like, I think but I mean, did they let Steven get chinned off Povetkin, let Steven win a couple, and then have him over for a defence? Or like, it's quite difficult at the heavyweights at the minute because the guys who you'd use for like a defence in this sort of position. They've all been getting beat recently, or they're retiring, or whatever, because that's what happens. So, what does he do? Is he going to do Hapas over, even though he's in line for another shot at the WBC anytime soon? Pulev's mandatory for IBF and wants a king's ransom.
Sonny Bill Williams, he wouldn't wield it.
David Tua.
If Brown can get over this ped issue again, that is likely. I don't know. Like, I know it was shit, but like Erkan Tepe, if
Tepe just got beat.
He get beat off
I'm just saying,
Christian Hammer. He could be in for it.
I
think they'll take a couple of soft offences because
I reckon
they want money on
I would class Huey Fury as a soft defence, to be fair. From what we've seen from Huey so far, there's no way I'd pick him to beat Parker. Not a chance. But to make him favourite in that fight is fucking disgusting.
Help me out here, sorry, Angie. See, before the Bellew fight got announced, he and Warren put out a statement, didn't he, and saying that he was Mando for the winner. And then all of a sudden, he's took the Bellew fight, blah, blah, blah. And I seen on Saturday that it was just a tweet that was no kind of like, it wasn't an article or a source or anything like that. And it says that Hughie Fury is the mandatory. How is that possible?
It was Barry Jones saying it on the telecast.
All right,
that'll be some gerrymandering done by Warren, no doubt. Or it's probably that Bellew's Hayes been taken out there.
Hughie holds that Intercontinental belt, doesn't he? I know that. So
he can't have been that high up, surely. Like
no, I think the last time I checked, I think he was about 7 or 8, running about them.
Oh, here we go. So number 1, Parker, who's obviously champion now. 2's Klitschko, fighting for another belt. Ruiz is number 3, who's just lost. Then it's Hay, but I'm assuming Hay's been took out the running for taking that fight. But this is the interesting point. Fury's 5 and Jarrell Miller's 6. Jarrell Miller was saying on Saturday that a fight had been ordered between them two, the fan eliminator, and Fury were refusing to entertain it. But after Jarrell Miller, so if that happened, you've got Miller at 6, David Price at 7, which is one of the worst world rankings I've ever seen. Like, David Price at 7 is fucking hideous. Then some guy called Tom Schwartz at 8, and then Edmund Gerber at number 9. So the WBO rankings are fucking tragic.
Edmund Gerber's top 10.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
WBO rankings always are fucking atrocious.
Alex, are you genuinely on this Parker hype train then, or are you just trolling?
Partly trolling, but no, I believe that he's a better fighter than a lot of the criticism that's getting aimed at him. I think that, yeah, he is looking flawed, but as I want to keep repeating, he's the only one that's fighting higher level opposition. He's the only one daring to actually, be great, to use a fucking stupid cliche. He's the only one that's doing these fights, so he's going to open up his vulnerability.
Well, I've got a question for you. Now the year's pretty much done, there's no more heavyweight fights at any decent level. Who's got the best heavyweight win this year? Parker?
Parker. By far.
He's probably got the 2 best heavyweight wins, would you say?
Yeah. 1 and 2.
If Steve Hearn wins on Saturday, he'll have it.
Oh, like fuck, he will.
You never know. Look at the Russian.
He's a junkie bum, so it doesn't matter.
Sorry. Ortiz beating
Dave Allen. He's from Doncaster.
Doncaster, apologise.
Conisbrough. Yeah.
Sorry, do you want to talk about Josh Warrington signing with Warren? Or is he eating his room service?
Eating his room service.
You need to unmute you, sir. I muted him because he was making too much noise about 5 minutes ago. Unmute yourself, sir. Just
the last thing on Parker, I think White makes a perfect sense for a defence ring. But I don't think they'll get it to happen. That would be like the one that would be... Oh, there's absolutely no way in hell White is ever going to beat Joe Parker. Ever. Like, they could fight 100 times, and the best White would get is 1 draw because someone got cut in the first round. Like... So they should probably try and push for that.
You there now, Si?
I'm there, yeah. I didn't realise it was not there, to be honest with you.
What's going on with Warrington then? What's the plan? Do you know anything?
Apparently, it was meant to be announced today that he was signing with Warren and he's fighting in Leeds in February. I'm sure I've just pissed Steve Wood off as well by saying that because it wasn't told me.
No, it's already been. They announced it earlier on, Si.
Have they done it yet?
Yeah. The Box Nation and the Warren account tweeted a press release thing about it, mate.
Yeah, that's good. Over the weekend, there was a few rumours starting that it was going to be with ITV because, and I've not heard this from anyone. I don't know if anyone on the pod has as well, but apparently it's Poxon that's behind this, or Poxon that's got something to do with it. So I know Robbie Davis is fighting Willie Limond in Preston in early January. But yeah, there was quite a strong rumour that ITV made a late play for Josh, but yeah, he's ended up with Warren. I think it makes sense, and I think it's boxing.
How the fuck's Poxon got involved?
So they're going to put a Preston Guildhall show on ITV? Fucking hell.
ITV4.
Well, they've been quite clever because they put a rematch of Mick Hall and Armfield on it, and they'll shift an absolute load of tickets for that. It got rumoured it was going to happen. I think it was about 12 months ago. Mick Hall went off the rails, or something happened with Mick Hall. But them two absolutely hate each other, and they'll probably sell over 1,000 tickets between them. So the place will be bouncing, and it'll look great on TV. And the Guildhall does look quite good for boxing on TV. But I get where you're coming from.
It'd be interesting, the ITV thing, because I mean, Poxon, I don't know what relationship Poxon will have with ITV. Obviously, he's got clout because he was involved in the Hatton comeback and various other things, but that was obviously what he's mainly been involved in his Ricky Hatton's career. People have been talking about, and Hearns been talking about ITV for months, and yet they seem to be still doing nothing. You know, and obviously it's a weird one with ITV. They keep mentioning it, but we see absolutely nothing from them.
Well, because I thought ITV and BT were part of the same thing, the deal that was going to be happening, but no, it's not.
Carpy's dropped off.
I have to see how that
We lost Carpy again.
That's fine. He said he's going to. All right, well, I have to see how that goes.
Carpy needs to pay his internet bill. What's going on here?
He's back.
He's been stealing Wi-Fi off the next door neighbour. That's
He
what
better pay me his Avon bill and pay his internet bill, or I'm not happy here.
They don't have Wi-Fi in Bristol.
That's a new feature coming in 2017. Andy's Avon.
The latest deals from Andy Pops.
Carpy's still using dial-up.
Probably am. Oh, fucking hell, what's going on here?
Jesus.
You got anything else, Si? You got any other rumours going around that you can say, or?
No, nothing. Quiet week.
So have you heard the rumour that Joe Gallagher likes to shag dogs?
No comments, because I guarantee Joe Gallagher will listen to this pod. So I just want to make it crystal clear, Joe. I have not said you do anything with animals, but I thought you would dog shit in Burton's corner on Saturday.
Anyone else got anything they want to add? Did anyone watch the Charlo fight? See that knockout?
Oh, yeah, fucking buzzing. That fucking dickhead Williams got fucking chinned.
Yeah, I don't know if the listeners will believe this, but Ainsley is happy someone lost. I don't know.
There's a shock.
Yeah, I know, it's odd, isn't it?
Mate. He's a dickhead. Fucking him and that bread, man. Absolute maggots buzzing about it.
Right, just quickly then. Charlo looked fucking massive in that fight.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. And what's that? Fucking Williams, the fucking seeker of fairness for fucking drug testing in boxing, and then decided he didn't want testing for this fight. I hope he reduced to the fucking gills. It'll serve him right.
Charlo looked like a monster. And I quite liked about Charlo was he come across like a bit of a dick. And I think that will serve him quite well. I think he'll play a good baddie, I think, for certain fights in that division.
That's what you want.
Yeah, he refused interviews after he just fucked off.
Yeah, he was basically raging because he hadn't been given much beforehand. So he was just like, yeah, I won my fight, I'm going home. And,
the referee who let that fight go on after that uppercut was disgusting, and there was no need for that. He fell face first and brought him back. They let him carry on. I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, when you get knockouts, when people go down like that, for me, you give him a second, but he was not ready. You know, he sent him out for about 4 seconds of action. It was a really good knockout, to be fair. I thought he looked good, Charlo. I mean, we slagged that division off last week, and I'm still going to slag it off. But I think he makes a good opponent for someone, and he's got the size to go up. I think he'd be a natural guy at 160.
It should be in the Andrade. Makes all the fucking sense in the world. Like,
it makes too much sense to happen, though, mate. So it won't. Right, on that undercard as well, Freddie, well, that was the main event, wasn't it? Freddie, the joke coach Roach, took another loss. The one-eyed Mahrez managed to beat Quella. Did anyone see that fight?
Yeah.
I can't believe that Mahrez won that. I
haven't seen that. I can't get a link to it anywhere. But
I thought that Quella KO, I thought that was like bet of the year. I thought, oh, here we go, we'll fucking line up on that. But obviously not. Which is it? Decent win for him, that though. That's like, got to say, I'd put him in with Frampton or Santa Cruz, whoever wins out of that again.
Also, obviously, Crawford got a routine win against Molina. Did anyone see that fight?
No.
It was pretty boring, to be fair. Just Molina got the shit beat out of him for 8 rounds and then got knocked out. I didn't see anything on the undercard. I skipped through that, but Beltran got a good win, apparently. Does anyone want to talk about Hopkins? And Usyk Usyk as well.
Yeah, I'm not really asked about any of that card other than Usyk. There's a documentary coming out though called Lomos.
Yeah, I saw that.
Lomachenko and Usyk.
I think the Hopkins fight's going to just be like every Hopkins fight in the last few years. It's going to be pretty boring, but I think it's a chance to people to kind of pay a little bit of credit to Hopkins. I'm a huge fan of what he's been able to do. I've never been a huge fan of watching him fight. Certainly recently, like I said, so many of his fights have been quite tough to watch. But he's been incredibly effective, and he's got some absolutely massive wins on his record. And I don't know if he'll win Saturday though. I think Smith's a good fighter. I think there's a chance he could come in stuck in that. But yeah, interesting.
You sure Hopkins won't old man him?
Oh, do you know what? That's why I hate Bernard Hopkins, because he made me look an absolute tit when Kovalev beat his fucking head in. And I thought that's the kind of respect I have for Hopkins, though. I just think he's shown throughout his career that he's always found a way. I remember when the build-up to the Pavlik fight, and it's dead easy to look back at it now, but everyone was picking Pavlik to win. I think he was like 4-1 on to win that fight. And he got absolutely schooled by Hopkins. It's one of the most one-sided beatdowns you'll ever see. And to be fair, his fight against Calzaghe looks better and better. You know, the fact that he managed to do that kind of performance, or managed to reduce Calzaghe's punch output from what it normally is down to what it was in that fight. He was an exceptional fighter, but I mean, he's what? How old is he now? 50? What?
52.
50. I mean, yeah. I'm glad he's stepping away. And the irony of what it is Hopkins at 52 is looking at it and going, right, this is it now. I know I can't perform at world level. I'm going to take a fight below that and bow out. And you've got Roy Jones fighting fucking Bobby Gunn. I mean, give me strength.
It's not that much below world level. I mean, Joe Smith just iced Von Fire in a round. Yeah,
I mean, it's not. I'm saying world title for so much rather than world level. It's not. You know, it's not a Kovalev type fight, is it? It's below that. But again, he could have gone out against some bum, but he's picked a tough opponent, and that's why I'm saying I'm tentatively picking Smith.
Like
to win.
He could have gone out against Nathan Cleverly, for example, like an absolute.
Yeah, he could have gone out against an absolute easy fight like Nathan Cleverly, which is what Andre Ward's going to do. When
also, I just want to say that Calzaghe robbed Hopkins. Hopkins won that fight, and Dewey, if you're listening, you're a prick, mate.
Yeah, Dewey didn't bother showing up tonight, so all Welsh boxing sucks. Macronelli sucks. They all suck.
Milk drinking bastard.
Milky.
Sheep shagging bastard.
Are we done? Any other fights you want to talk about the weekend coming up? There's something else. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but there's another fight taking place there. What is it? Anyone know?
Povetkin?
Oh yeah, Povetkin Stavern. Anyone want to mention that, or do we? It's foregone conclusion.
So many steroids.
It could be. You never know. You never know. If that testing is what it says it is, then you could see it. Could see an upset. That's all I'll say.
All right then, let's knock this on the head. Cheers for that, lads. See you next week.
Press pass, Paul.
Press pass, Paul.